are lucky to have the chance to visit famous American writer Charlotte Pomerantz, and we have also famous New York lawyer Robert Murtha with us. And we have come here with Abid, Rahman, Minhaz Ahmed, and Siddiquee, three famous Bangladeshi journalists. And we're excited to know about your life, your writing, and also we would like to hear a story about from Robert Murtha about you. So, yes, how is everything with you today?
How am I today?
Yes.
I feel fine. I'm delighted to have all of you Bangladeshis in my apartment. I have never even had 2 before, much less 20.
In fact, we want to start our conversation with about your writing life, about your life as a writer. Like since when you start writing? At what stage you started writing? Like what age you?
Well, I'll tell you.
First book?
When I was 8 years old, my family took a trip to Washington, D.C. And I wrote in my diary. First time I think I ever wrote anything. We went to Washington.
From Brooklyn?
Oh, no, we were in Westchester.
Oh, Chester, okay.
We moved from Brooklyn. And I said, we went to Washington, D.C. It was a pleasant trip up. Well, of course it was a trip down, but geography, direction has never been my forte. In fact, I generally don't know where I am, although I'm in my home being interviewed by you, so far so good. I just love to write. I never thought of being a writer. I just like words. I remember, let's see, graduation, there was, in grammar school graduation, there was a...
Which year?
What year? I'm not sure, probably 40-something. There was a guy named Michael Green, and they called him Michael Green Grocer, and I thought that was very wonderful. I love the words, playing on words, and that happened all, always. I liked, I'm trying to think of some things like I lie like a tulip bed. I don't know if you've ever heard that expression. But and I loved Board of Education. I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever seen written on my school book. It just seemed so brilliant. Board of Education, so true. And so, other kids had other hobbies, but after school, very often I came home and wrote. And gradually, actually I wrote a story about the queen of a kingdom of bubbles. And my father, who was very commercial-minded, wanted me to send it to Ivory.
Was he a businessman?
He was a lawyer, like this one over here.
Okay.
Shall I quote from him? My father always raised us with the expression, shine shoes, run a whorehouse, but don't be a lawyer. That was his opinion of the law, which he really loved and he was really very good at. So, I'm not sure where to go from here.
Yeah, no, but about like your first publication and also...
Oh, my first publication, we were in Italy. My father was at Nuremberg, and after the trial, it's another story, we traveled around Europe. And we went to a hotel called the San Remo, which was in Italy. And
was that before World War II?
World War II. The last people...
After World War II?
After World War II. The last people at this hotel were Goering and a lot of other big shot Nazis. That's how close we were to the end of the war. And I saw a book called Anyone Can Draw, and I decided to teach my father how to draw. He had never drawn anything in his life.
Okay.
So he sat, and I didn't really, I just said, just draw what you see, Pop, just over the ocean, all the houses and stuff. So a couple of days later, all I could see were these rectangles, windows, all dripping with paint. And I said, he said, I'm drawing windows. I said, it's just rectangles with the paint coming off them. It really wasn't a picture. But anyway, I wrote a story about that. Anyone could draw, showing that that's not necessarily true. And my father sent it to a magazine called Calling All Girls, Condé Nast, big publisher. And maybe they paid me $25. I don't really remember.
That time it was a lot of money.
Well, yeah, he was always encouraging me. And when I wrote the story about a soap bubble, he wanted me to send it to Ivory Soap. I mean, I didn't do it, but he just had that commercial angle. I just wrote for the fun of it, you know. So gradually, I guess it really wasn't.
That time you were still in school, or you finished school?
Oh yeah, I was still in school, and then high school I wrote some stories in high school, and college I wrote a few. And I don't remember being serious, but my roommate said I was up all night typing. I said, what do you mean? I don't remember that. She said, I didn't think I was a writer. She said, of course you're a writer, you typed all night. And I said, how did you stay? Why didn't you tell me to stop? She said, oh, I didn't want to stop you. I knew you were a writer.
That's nice of her.
Very sweet. She's been my best friend for 70 years at least. Or yeah, almost 70 years anyway. So I guess it started earlier than I realized, you know. And then finally, let's see, after college, 10 years passed, and I was fired from every job I had. I had problems, what would you call it, problems with, what did you call that thing I had? Access or, anyway, pattern.
Pattern.
I didn't know how to reconstruct something. I couldn't follow a plot. I still can't. And I was fired from every job I ever had. I did a salesperson. I sold, worked in the Persian shop, where
in New York City.
Yeah, the Persian shop where the rich people wore their rings backwards so people wouldn't see the jewelry they had on. And I tried to get a job as a dental assistant, but was turned down. As a file at a restaurant, I couldn't figure out the damn sauces, you know, the marinara from whatever, I was fired from that. So I had a huge long history, and I never thought to myself, well, maybe I'm a writer. And then one day a young man came to the house, and he heard that I was fooling around, and he said, let me see your stuff. So I showed him, and he said,
by that time you wrote a lot already?
not a lot,
Okay,
no.
but you wrote.
But he said, well, you've got to submit this. He said, this one here is a children's story. I really think it's good. You should send it in. So I did send it in to William Morrow, the publisher.
Okay.
And they cut it to pieces and paid me $500, and I was.
That was which year, remember?
53.
53.
So that had been 10 years since college, and I hadn't done anything with writing, you know.
That's a good starting, right?
That was lucky.
63?
63. And then after that, I started to write, and I got published and published. Long periods when I didn't get published, rejections were and always will be very, very painful. And I think you have to tell people to have several things in the mail. Don't send in one thing and then wait for the empty chamber of heartbreak, the mailbox. Just keep sending stuff. The rejections come, all right, so then there's more going out. But don't send something and become wedded to it and wait and wait and wait. And well, I think I was lucky. I have as many rejections as I have acceptances. My best-selling book, called The Piggy in the Puddle.
Okay, yeah.
Cochinita en el Charco in Spanish. Sold about 150,000 copies.
Wow.
Was rejected 16 times.
But that became one of the best sellers in the country.
Children, take heart. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. And editors can be as wrong as anybody else in life.
Exactly.
If you believe in yourself, keep pushing. And it's a harder market, I think, than it was. I think because now books have to grab you immediately. They can't be kind of leisurely. They have to, something has to jump and pop up immediately. Grab your reader with the first sentence. Well, that's not the way I wrote, and so the market is not too good for people like me anymore. But I think it's all right, you know.
So you have roughly how many? Do you remember how many books you have?
Well, I remember. I have 35 books.
35 so far.
But well, I think I'm finished with books. I'm doing more with some poetry and some projects.
Okay.
For instance,
how many books of poetry you have published?
Well, a lot of my books are in poetry, so it's hard for me to say. I'd say half of them are in verse.
Okay.
Yeah. I find it easier to write with restrictions. There's a poem that says, "Nuns fret not at their convents' narrow walls." And I think that restriction of having to rhyme makes it easier than having, it's like playing, they say it's like playing tennis without a net, you know, that's with free verses. I like the constrictions of rhyme. They help me, you know.
May I know about, like, may we know about your books got like honored or awarded, you know, from different, could you tell us about it?
I'd have to get a piece of paper to tell me because I don't really
So
remember.
many, right? Oh.
Well, I have 2 awards from the Christopher Awards, a liberal Catholic organization. They seem to like me. And I have, let's see, Jane Addams Peace Award for a book I wrote called The Princess and the Admiral, which was published by the Feminist Press, which I'm very proud of because their books are excellent, excellent. And then The Piggy in the Puddle was put on public television, animation. It was in claymation, right? And that's one we've now done in English and Spanish, and we're trying to popularize it.
Tell us more about her school life and other things. Some more.
Well, she grew up in Westchester County, and she, when her father became the deputy prosecutor in Nuremberg, they went to Europe. So she did some studying in France, and then she came back, graduated from high school, studied some more in France, went to Sarah Lawrence College.
You lived in France or Germany? Where did you live at that time?
I went to Germany when my father was working on the
Nuremberg trial. Okay.
But I only stayed there 2 weeks. But I did meet a distant relative of mine who had been in the camps for 6 years as a cigar maker. And he found his way to my father. He just found his way from the camps to Nuremberg. It was the most amazing journey to find this man who was, my father never heard of him, but he heard him. I guess he heard of my father. There was a reunion.
Now what do you continue what you're talking about her? Yeah.
Well, as I said, she's an amazing writer. What else should I say?
How about, you know, do you have you been to any of her like literary sessions in New York City? Like
we have put on some of her plays in local churches.
Some of your works are they became play, right?
I've written some plays.
Play. Oh, you've written some plays. Okay.
Yeah.
Like which one?
Pardon?
Like could you name
one
some?
on called Eureka about Archimedes, and one on Jonah and the Humpback Whale about the story of Jonah in the Bible. Those were 2 plays that were put on, small productions in churches and other venues like that.
Okay.
And I wish I could do more, but I don't know how to get them. I don't know how to mount the production really. It's expensive. I don't know my way around.
Do you still write regularly?
I write every day.
Every day. That's great.
It's kind of a...
No more typewriting on a computer, right?
Oh, I miss my typewriter, but the woman who works for me she doesn't want to take the space to get the typewriter, so I just write by hand now.
Okay.
Which is nice, because there's a certain quality about being close to the pen and the paper, and erasing instead of automatically erasing. I like the whole leisurely, rather, what do you call, antique way of writing. I like the structure of erasing and rewriting and editing all on a page. I don't like for the swiftest method.
Did you write any poem lately?
Yeah, I wrote a poem that I brought in case you'd like to hear it.
May we have the pleasure to...
I wrote this for a class I attend at the Senior Center at Penn South. A group of very lovely older people.
Okay.
And we read plays by other people, but I also write stuff for them.
Okay.
And here's what I wrote.
Could you please share with us?
Saida. My parents named me Saida. Saida means lucky in Arabic. Today I was unlucky. Today a bomb destroyed my school. It killed the headmistress, my teacher, 12 of my classmates. It also killed the classroom rabbit, who I took care of on holidays and weekends. Its blood spilled all over the lettuce leaves. I do not know what happened to my wounded classmates. They were carried out on stretchers, screaming in pain. That evening, the people from the village came to the school courtyard. They brought flowers, gifts, letters, drawings, soft animals. My mother took my little brother to the school. He brought his favorite soft bear to give me. My father stayed home and wept. People lit candles and prayed. The elder of the village stood silent with the others. Then she shook her fist, tears running down her cheeks, and cried out, "Enough! Enough of weeping! Enough of flowers and candles and prayers! Wipe away your tears, hold hands, embrace one another, stand strong against the voices that would divide us. As a great man said, we shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe bends slowly, but it bends towards justice." I too wanted to cry out, tell them how much I missed my beautiful, loving mother, my handsome, warm-hearted father, my funny, mischievous little brother, my friends and neighbors. I wanted to cry out how much I missed my home, my bed, my soft pillow, my books and toys and games, the moon that shines through my bedroom window onto the little courtyard, my street, the market, the mosque, the street musicians, the shopkeeper. I miss the baker and his daughter who gave hot bread to the hungry, the headmistress who read us beautiful poetry by Yunus. Let us make peace, he wrote. Let us not be strangers to one another. The young doctors at the free clinic who cared for us, the gentle imam who gave shelter in the mosque to those who had no place to sleep. I miss my cousins who live in terrible refugee camps without enough food or water or blankets. I miss my uncle and his children who drowned at sea in an old wooden boat trying to get to a better place. Sometimes in the dark and endless night, I wonder what it would have been like to grow up, develop breasts, become a woman, study, become a teacher, fall in love, have a child, travel to places my teacher told us about. I've tried to imagine a life where people are like the people in my village, brothers and sisters who help each other. Wondering about all this, I think what I will miss most are the singing, the dancing, the laughter of friends and family, the funny hats, the presents, the 15 candles, and my birthday cake. But this will never happen. I will be 14 forever. My name is no longer Saida. My new name is Collateral Damage.
Allow me to know something about this great guy, Robert Murtha.
With pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
I met this guy about 10 years ago. Actually, before that, we both sang in a chorus
Okay.
of a church, even though neither of us is religious. But it was a lovely chorus of Holy Apostles Church. It's now called the New York City Community College. And chorus, not college. Actually, we met in the broom closet. It sounds ridiculous, but we were both delegated to the high honor of sweeping after the concert, after the rehearsal. So he had a big broom, I had a little broom, so naturally the brooms got together. And not the bride and groom, just the brooms.
Just the broom.
And I have found him to be one of the wisest and kindest and generous-hearted individuals I have ever known. He got to know my husband through my late husband, and was quite excited by his personality and his beliefs. And I always say he knew Karl Marzani, my late husband, in a way better than I did, which he says not true, but in many ways he knows about his political case and his imprisonment, and his books and his films and his documentaries. He's very scholarly in his research, which is why he knows this man better than I, who lived with him for 28 years, know him. And I found him to be a darling man.
He's more than a lawyer, right? He knows
And
a lot.
when a client wins, he feels joy. And when a client loses, he feels great sadness. And I mean, what more can you ask of a lawyer? Even though my father said, shine shoes, run a whorehouse, but don't be a lawyer, he didn't mean this lawyer.
You have to add something at this point, Robert?
I do my best.
Thank you so much, and it was really a pleasure talking to both of you and our friends Minhaz, Neher, and Abid. All of us really enjoyed, and look forward to have more to know about it. And
we would love that. We thank you so much.
To be continued.
That interested.
Thank you very much.